All right, that was fun. Landon Thomas commits to Florida State, flips from Georgia, and is now a Knoll. Let's get in here. Let's talk about it. We are up. We're going. We're live. Let's get your comments. Let's get your thoughts. Hit the subscribe button. Hit the share button. Let's blow this thing up. I know there are a bunch of people that we've been chatting with about this. I know there's a bunch going on today. But let's get in here. Let's get a few people in here. The Knowles pick up. Yeah, nothing happening. The Knowles pick up a 5-star, flipping from Georgia. That seems pretty good. The Mike Norvell can't recruit narrative is dying by the minute. So, yeah, do us a favor. Hit the share button. Hit retweet. Hit like. All of those things. Really, really, really big for FSU. Man, they made a move on this so fast because I certainly would not have predicted this to happen when, I don't know, going into the weekend. But, man, shout out Florida State. Shout out the entire staff. This class is going to be something pretty special. I think it's going to be fun. This continues to get better and better and better. That's a great picture. My boy Cameron just sent me. We'll make sure that we tweet that. That's hilarious. What are you guys' thoughts? We'll talk about Thomas a little bit as a prospect. Talk about what it means just in general. But this is a fun one. I'm going to hang out a little bit today. Cameron. Rolston. Florida State. Great class right now. All right, so we were asked a question not too long ago about how many 5-stars could be in this class as I celebrate with a Diet Dr. Pepper. They're not a sponsor, though, so. We were asked about how many 5-stars could be in this class. That number seems to be something that could continue to increase. Told our... did a video a week or so ago on what that would look like, how many we could end up having. That number feels like it could continue to go up. I saw Luke got a bump on 3. I saw Jamari Howard, who Florida State is still very much involved with, get a bump. Cam Davis, Charles Lester is somebody that Florida State feels very good about. Jonathan Thomas being somebody that Florida State feels very good about. And then you just robbed Kirby of a 5-star tight end. So, pretty fun. Nobody complaining today. Greater than sign. Let's talk about it. What are you guys' thoughts? Yeah, shout out to Big Noel on Twitter. Big Dog's barking. That is a fun one. I don't know if you guys noticed this, but the people that shout out to the folks that hawk these kids' Instagram and that must just sit on there and refresh. Because I was getting texts like, hey, he just deleted everything off his Instagram. He just pulled all that off. I agree, Luke should be a 5-star. So I feel like this calls for some super chats. This calls for a lot of fun. Hey, shout out anybody that's in here that is in our Discord. Obviously, you guys are the real MVPs. We've been talking about this for a while, and it's really been all I've worked on this morning. We had we had some good info on this. So shout out to the plugs. Glad that we were able to get this up and going. Let's talk about Landon Thomas just a little bit. We'll roll some highlight footage of him. Obviously a really, really sharp kid. 6'4", nearly 240-pound tight end out of Moultrie, Georgia. Thomas is, there we go. Got some B-roll footage up of him. He's got a 6'6" wingspan, which is super impressive. Obviously was committed to Florida State staff previously, maintained that good relationship, and has now flipped back from UGA. Incredible catch radius, obviously at 6'4", 6'6", just an absolute matchup nightmare. Just not sure how you defend that. I mean, you don't, right? You just put two guys on him and hope that Cromenhoek or Brock or whoever's throwing to him goes somewhere else. Feels like the kind of guy that could come in and make an immediate impact. Obviously, Florida State upgraded their tight end room this year in the portal, and I really like the pieces they have there now. I spent some time with the Morlock family this weekend, and I just think about 6'6" and 6'7" tight ends in this offense in 2024. Obviously, Morlock here this year, but when Thomas is here and Morlock 6'6", 6'7" at the same time with a 5-star Hakeem Williams and a very impressive receiving core commit list that we already have coming in. I don't want to get so far ahead of myself, but yes, I know that losing Jordan is not going to be a fun thing in 2024, but I think that the weapons that we're building toward, didn't even mention Cam Davis being committed, 2024's offense is going to be pretty ridiculous. I anticipate the offensive line will continue to grow and be really, really good. I think that's when you'll probably see the emergence of Julian Armella after a couple of years. I think that you are really setting yourself up to be in a great position in 2024. I think 2023 is going to be a phenomenal year for the Noles. I think 2024 gets even more exciting, and obviously a big piece of it is going to be Landon Thomas. I think that it is going to be massive for the Noles to have a phenomenal offense that year. I think you're going to stay on top of the ACC. I think you win the ACC this year, but I think you're going to stay on top of the ACC with it. I think you have a really, really good shot. I think you could finish second in the ACC, and with that 12-team playoff, I think Florida State's a playoff. If Florida State's not a playoff team in 2023, they are certainly a playoff team in 2024. If they keep this class together, they retain some good talent. So got to keep working. I'd like to see the defensive class continue to improve, but I really, really like where we are with the offensive recruiting. What's going on there? I think that we still have a really good shot with JoJo Trader. I spoke with somebody down in Miami about that today. I think that he's somebody that you will see the Noles continue to push for, continue to be really, really active for. And, this is a massive commit. All right, so let's scroll through some comments, see if anybody – did I miss any super chats? Did nobody super chat? Harlan usually turns the super chats on loud, though, so I didn't see any. All right, so nobody just yet. That's all right. We've got some coming. Here's what I like about Landon Thomas. Let's talk about him just a little bit more, and then we'll give some love to Garnet and Gold, who I stopped by and saw this weekend. I'm going to read you what his high school coach said. Let me flip over to this quote. I didn't say this. I did a flip watch video earlier today. I didn't know this was happening when I did the flip watch. I thought there was a good chance. I didn't know he was committing today, or else I probably wouldn't have done too. But Colquitt County, Georgia high school coach Sean Calhoun. Landon Thomas has everything you want from an in-the-box tight end prospect. Landon, goodness, his skill set overall is good. When you talk about an in-the-box player, Calhoun told the Atlanta Journal-Constitution, whether it's pass blocking or run blocking, he's really good at that. Then when we flex him out, he can be a matchup problem because he's so big and strong. There are plays where he gets into the open field and he's so hard to tackle because he's so much bigger than the defensive backs. He brings an element that I've never had in a tight end. Thomas racked up nearly 1,400 receiving yards, 16 touchdowns, including 753 yards and a 17.1 catch average in 2022. Man, I feel like, you always think of the great tight ends, and, it's so hard to do tight end comps because you think about who are guys that were really good at blocking, who are guys that were really good at rushing the ball, pass block, run block, and catching, being strong. But I mean, gosh, he's so big and tall. Like, I almost feel like a Kittle, I'm not trying to say this kid's going to be the best tight end in the league in 2 or 3 years, but I feel like a Kittle. He's such a good blocker, but he's got great hands. He is so big and strong. Catch radius is unreal. I'm really excited for it. All right, we got a super chat there, Harlan. We got some noise so we can throw behind it.
Touchdown, Florida State! Touchdown, FSU!
Thank you, Seminoles 03. Big dogs barking. I'm telling you, I don't know if that's Big Noles. I don't know if that's Big Noles' YouTube account or not. I know he's incognito on some sites, but I hope that's Big Noles' account because the big dogs certainly are barking. Hey, I got Georgia fans upset on Twitter that we We put the on the thumbnail. You guys saw it because you clicked on it. But on the thumbnail, we put the Florida State logo greater than the Georgia logo. I got Georgia fans upset about that. So listen, I got no sympathy for these people that have just won back-to-back national championships. They're probably going to get 3 more 5 stars because of this. So not a lot of sympathy for these folks. I like what Landon Thomas brings from not only a catching perspective, as you guys can just kind of watch some of his highlights here. I really like what he brings. Oh, Hunter, look at you, bro. Sorry about that, Big Noel. That's a terrible dag joke. Landon, I like it. I like what he brings from a catching perspective. I like what he brings from a physicality, blocking. I think that's really what Mike Norvell wants. I think he wants to be able to feature this. Mike Norvell does a great job of scheming guys open. Thomas, he's just unguardable, and that's part of the problem, right? He moves very well for being 6'6", 240. It's not like he's, super slow. He's got good quickness for that size. He's hard to bring down. You really do need almost like a Derwin James type to try and bring him down. Kid is just really, really, really talented, and I'm excited to see it. I know that there's been talk and people have asked about, this person or that person's going to keep their crystal ball on Georgia. I think that makes sense. I'll explain that. I want to explain that right after I give some love to our friends over at Garnet and Gold. We'll talk about Rusty Manziel talked about this morning. He's probably going to keep his crystal ball on Georgia. I'll talk to you guys about that as soon as we give some love to garnetandgold.com. Hey, if you're an FSU fan, if you're in here and watching this, you need to be shopping at the best spot for FSU merch and gear. I was in there this weekend. I picked up a Bobby Bowden throwback shirt. It was celebrating the 93 national championship 30 years ago this year. Go check that out. You can get it for 15% off if you use code NOSLAW. If you order over a certain amount, they do free shipping. GarnetandGold.com, the absolute best when it comes to FSU gear, merch, licensed apparel, whatever you're looking for. Okay, so Rusty said that he wasn't going to change his crystal ball off of UGA. I put this in our Discord. Obviously, we did a lot of chatting this morning in our Discord and chatting with folks about what was going to happen. The way that the 247 crystal balls work, you get more credit based on how old your prediction is. You get very little credit if you flip the crystal ball the day of or the day before it happens. And so you do get the credit for being right, but you don't get the credit for flipping it, right? Because usually if you're flipping it the day of, you had some inside info, you knew what was going on. It's not like a prediction that you made 6-7 months ago. So if Rusty was to flip to FSU, he'd get very, very little credit, but Georgia's never out of anything. I'll say that, not to worry anybody or not to scare anybody. Georgia's never out of it. And so if he keeps it on Georgia and Landon was to happen to flip back, Rusty would get a crap ton of points because he's been on Georgia for so long. So I'm not really worried about that. It's not like, I can't believe, Rusty's not changing. That's why, right? Rusty just knew that by picking Florida State today, that wasn't going to help his points at all with the crystal ball. I'm not worried about it. I don't think this kid flips 4 times, right? I think he knew that Florida State's where his heart was. I think he decommitted at a time where Florida State wasn't doing things very well. Georgia was doing things really, really well. Florida State's picked it back up. Credit to Mike Norvell and his staff. Obviously, Coach Thompson for continuing to be on this. Now because I set up alerts for Landon Thomas, I'm getting everyone. I got to turn these off somehow. Shout out to Coach Thompson, really the entire offensive staff for, here we go, turn all this off. I don't want to see all these kids post anymore. For what they've done to stay on him. Really, really impressive. Not many go head-to-head with Georgia and win, and certainly don't do that when a kid is committed. Are they able to usually have that kind of success? If you're just joining us, hit that thumbs up button. We're celebrating this just a little bit. We have Landon Thomas, who has committed to Florida State. He is a 5-star from Moultrie, Georgia. the number one tight end in the country, according to 3 of the 4 recruiting sites, the 4th one being On3, where he is number 2, but he's number 1 on their industry rankings. He is the next 5-star in the class for Mike Norvell and company. And what a weekend, man. We talked a lot. I jumped on Spaces yesterday on Twitter. That was fun. We talked a lot about what the Battle's End was able to do. We talked a lot about what Florida State looked like on the field. We talked a lot about the recruiting wins. Obviously at McCoy on Thursday night, you pick up BJ Gibson, very talented 2-sport, 4-star athlete out for baseball and football. And now you get a 5-star flip from the top dogs in the country. You get a flip from the top dogs in the country, and you pick up Landon Thomas. Absolutely massive pickup. Just saw some portal news. It sounded like some things maybe going on over there. We're going to keep this pretty positive. We had maybe given some info on that in our Discord as well. So maybe go hit that if you haven't signed up just yet. Hey, we've got well over 1,000 people in the Discord now, and they're all going crazy. They better be over here. Oh, YouTube lets you watch both, so I'm going to give you guys a break. You're probably watching this, but I really like what we've been doing in Discord the last couple of days. It has certainly blown up, and if you want to be part of that chat, if you want to be part of what we're doing over there on Discord, the link is below. I can't link it above because it's a live video, but the link is below. It's free to join. There are some exclusive channels. There are some exclusive chats, but the main chat, the recruiting chat, they are free. So come join us over there. We have a really, really good time. Is this the biggest recruiting win of Mike Norvell's tenure? Obviously he has to sign, so you got to get him in. So it's between him and Hakeem, right? And Hakeem wasn't committed to the number 1 team in the country. I'll say that, right? Hakeem wasn't committed to, I think the Hakeem pull was huge. Don't mistake that. But this is the number 1. This is the biggest recruiting win of Mike's career. I have no. Anyone want to argue with that? Is there somebody I'm missing? Now, Hakeem was big. Don't get me wrong. Hakeem but Hakeem wasn't committed to UGA, I don't know. A position that Florida State hasn't recruited super well over the last. When was the last time we had a Who's the biggest tight end? Who's the highest rated tight end commit that we've had at FSU? All the way back to O'Leary? I think this is the biggest one. This is Mike Norvell's biggest recruiting win. Hey, do us a favor, hit that like button, smash the subscribe button, all those things. If you have anything that we definitely need to see and we need to talk about, go ahead and hit the super chat. Yeah, I think it's O'Leary. I think this is the biggest recruiting win that we've had since Nick O'Leary. Let's do this. Do me a favor and let's cue up that Gramco real quick. I want to talk about something else that's pretty big. Right before that, I do want to give some love to Gramco. TheGramco.com. We were passing out some Gramco gift cards there at the tailgate on Saturday. If you haven't checked them out, you can today at TheGramco.com. The best when it comes to Delta 8 products. TJ25 will get you 25% off. Make sure that you're supporting the best in the Delta 8 game. They were founded by Knowles. They're vet-owned. You can see me with the gummy there at Doak in the spring game last year. That was quite a day there. But you can see him at the tailgate. TJ25 or 25% off of the best Delta 8 products on the market. Okay, so what's this setup? We'll do a few more minutes and we'll get out of here. We've been on for about 20, so maybe we'll go for about 10 more minutes and we'll go. I think he was a 4-star. I think you're right. Now Pop Upshot. So so he's probably the biggest because Nick wasn't. Nick was a 4, right? Am I remembering that right? Am I saying that wrong? Nick O'Leary, 247. No, he was number 1 tight end, 27th overall nationally. Yeah, so biggest since Nick O'Leary then. Yeah, good call. I knew he was right on the verge of being a high 4 or low 5. Low 5. Listen to me tell him this. UGA fans, Travis Hunter was a big one. Big commit, but as far as guys that signed. I think that what this does for your recruiting, the perception nationally, in my opinion, is that Florida State's recruiting is subpar, right? Like they can hit on some guys, but they're not going to go in these massive battles and win them. And I think that Mike's flipping the script on that. You've got Cam Davis, you've got Luke Kromenhoek, who just absolutely balled out at the last camp he was at. You've got some other 4-stars. I've heard Miami is really, really upset about the McCoy commitment. You've got some guys that are talking about shutting it down. You've got some guys that you think you're getting even closer with. But I think this starts to change the narrative, right? It starts to change. Harlan, I don't care either way. Whatever you think looks better. It starts to change what some of the narrative is on what Mike can and can't do, right? And I saw Gator fans, when Jordan Pride decommitted, which we talked about that, and we did a video on it. But I saw Gator fans just saying, Florida State fans are going to learn that winning doesn't necessarily make a bad recruiter a good recruiter, right? And so the implication there is that just because Florida State got to 10 wins doesn't necessarily mean that recruiting is just going to take off and that the Noles will all of a sudden be good at recruiting again. And I think that you've seen really over the last 3 days, there was a lot of hype around their spring game on Thursday, and they did pull a 5-star safety. So I'll say that. Great job. Xavier Filsame's a great pull there. Well, for Florida State to pull 2 blue-chip wide receivers, one that Miami is incredibly pissed off about, another one that Florida was very heavy on with B.J. Gibson. B.J. Gibson had just visited Florida about 2 weeks earlier. So for Florida State to pull those 2 guys and then not just fight amongst the peasants in this state, like Florida and Miami, the teams that can't finish 500 or above, but then to go up against UGA and flip something, I think it defeats that narrative of, oh, Mike's not a good recruiter. No, Mike walked into an absolute dumpster fire and has pulled this thing up by its bootstraps and gotten it back to where it's respectable again. Did you guys watch this? Did you see, not just on the recruiting trail, but did you watch the spring game this weekend? And if you watched on ESPN, did you hear who's the sideline? Oh, Pete Thamel. Shout out Pete. He's got me blocked. Shout out Pete Thamel, who literally said he covered all 3 spring games. So that's kind of a cool thing to do. He went to Florida on Thursday night, then he went to Miami on Friday, and then he was in Tallahassee on Saturday. And he said, look, if you look at the difference between these 3 teams, it's not even close. It's not even close, the difference between Florida State and Florida and Miami, the way that they look on the field. And so, yes, it is different. Florida and Miami got new coach bumps last year. Miami got a massive NIL influx that was really, really, really big for them. And I think that's awesome, right? Like, great job for them. Great job for them overspending in NIL. And we'll see if they keep that up or not. We'll see if, Papa doesn't go to jail with the SEC investigating or not. But now, we always said this. You go back and listen to Newburgh Spaces. You go back and listen to what Josh said when he was working for 247. You go back and listen to what we were saying during the Willie days. Nothing has changed. Winning fixes it, right? Florida State wasn't going to win 10 games and then have a top 20 class. Like, that wasn't going to happen. Florida State wins 10 games. They're going to finish with a top 10 class. With a special year, it'll be pushing top 5. You're not getting a top 50 kid in Kromenhoek, a top 40 or so kid in Jamari Howard if he commits, a top 20 kid in Landon Thomas, a Cam Davis, a Charles Lester, all these guys that we think that are going to be in this class. You're not getting all those and not finishing with a top 5-ish class, 5, 6. I think you're going to be really close. I think you're going to be knocking on the door. And what does this do? So, you hit on these guys. Now, Jonathan Daniels, the number 1 offensive tackle in the country, who 247 is just weirdly low on. I don't know. I think that ranking will come up. But you're talking 3 to 4, 5-stars. You're talking a top 5 to 6 class at worst. Keep Coach Prime away. He already got. I saw TJ Abrams is visiting and I like TJ Abrams a lot. I think that kid is super talented. I'm saying this tongue in cheek. Don't get upset at me for saying it. But I saw TJ Abrams was visiting Colorado this weekend for their spring game. And so my thought was, if we can just make peace with that, like Coach Prime will give you TJ Abrams, but don't play with anything else, man. Like, just that. So that's a joke. I don't want to lose TJ Abrams. Don't be sending him this. That's a joke. I want all 7 wide receivers that we're going to take this year because just load up on that talent. But that was my first thought. Was like, okay, take TJ, but don't mess with anybody else, man. Camp shut down, Luke shut. All right, we're good. That's a joke. I really like TJ Abrams, so don't be sending him that on screen record. I love how he gets guys that fit the system, not just chasing stars or recruits. Yeah, I agree. I mean, tight end is obviously a big emphasis for what Norvell wants to do. And the reason why is because look what Florida State did when they were most successful last year. The counter set up absolutely everything. Well, if you can't set the edge and you don't have a guy that can block, your counters are nothing, right? And being able to extend that edge out a little bit with a tight end and not just your tackle every time, I mean, is massive. He really does find guys that fit the system. And, I think that what Norvell has done such a good job of is, he's done a good job of scheming this offense even when guys may or may not fit the system, right? And just imagine what 2024 and 25 are going to look like. And I know that we're a long way from there. And 2023 is our major focus, and that's really what it should be. It should be the major focus of what we're doing. But I really like the way that he is kind of scheming that up. This is a good question. How many wide receivers do I think we'll take? Guys, hit that super chat button if you're celebrating this with me. I'm going to answer this question anyway, but go ahead and do me a favor and hit that super chat button. Let's give some love to our friends over at Smoothie Time. 1208 Capitol Circle Southeast in Tallahassee, right next to Beef O'Brady's. Lunch special every day from 11 to 2. If you're in Tallahassee, you get half off a smoothie with the purchase of any sandwich. They've got a strawberry banana, which they call their old faithful. The surprise is my favorite. Pineapple, mango, orange juice. Their club sandwich on a croissant, amazing. I got the chicken salad. They serve breakfast and lunch all day long. Go check them out. Smoothie Time. They are the best. They've got some NIL news coming that we're going to help them with this week. So they're taking care of our athletes as well. So shout out Smoothie Time. Again, right there by the Beef O'Brady's. Go check them out. How many wide receivers do we take? That's a great question. So right now you have Camden Fryer committed. You have Abrams committed. You have McCoy. You just got Gibson. I think that you're going to land Madison. I think you land James Madison. Shout out the presidential name there. And if JoJo Trader wants to be part of this, you're taking Trader too. Like there's no way you're not taking Trader. So do one of those guys that we mentioned. So I certainly don't think that Madison or Fryer would decommit. But does somebody else that's in there, do they maybe decommit? Do they maybe look somewhere else? I don't know. I think it's possible. But I think Florida State would be comfortable taking 5 or 6. I don't think that would be crazy. I think you take less next year. But I think when you look at the guys that may not be here next year, I think that, Johnny Wilson obviously not going to be here. Winston Wright, this is probably his last year. We'll see how early Pittman's able to make it back. But if Pittman comes back and plays this year, he might be gone after this year. I think there are a lot of options, and you want to load up on that room. And you're not just loading up on that room in a way that's, you're just taking guys to take guys. You're taking really talented guys. Like I said, Miami is upset about that McCoy commitment. They really wanted him based on some conversations I had just this morning. So I think that, I think you take 5 or 6 to answer the question. I think if you miss on Trader, you ended up with 5 4-stars. If you hit on Trader, maybe one of the 4 stars jump ship. Maybe you keep all of them, but I think that you're really happy with that. All right, what else you guys got? Again, hit the super chats. Let's hang out a little bit. Let's celebrate this. I'll stay on for a couple more minutes and try and answer any questions. Landon Thomas, again, 6'6", 240 out of Moultrie, Georgia, commits to the Noles. If you weren't on at the beginning, we talked about he's got a 6'6" wingspan, which is really, really impressive. He is a kid that Florida State has stayed on even after he committed to Georgia. He decommitted from the Noles, flipped to Georgia. I think Florida State has done a really, really good job here. He is an absolute matchup nightmare. If you missed the beginning, we can play some of his highlights here in a second. But he's an absolute matchup nightmare for defenses. I think that is something that I don't know. I think he's going to be a problem. Yeah, I've seen the portal news. Well, I'll talk about that a little bit in Discord. We had been kind of given some news on that, but didn't want to. I don't know. It's always weird to put a kid's info out while he's thinking about jumping to the portal because Florida State sometimes tries to save that. He's not the first one to go, and he won't be the last. So, best of luck going forward is all I'll say on this video. But absolute matchup nightmare. Again, high school coach says he's phenomenal at both blocking, running, and passing. And then a great athlete when he gets the ball in his hands. really, really strong. A kid that has a great catch radius, good hands, moves incredibly well. See how they have him lined up here in the slot. Gets past and gets to the inside, and then he is just hard to take down, man. Lucky he got him on a shoestring there. Again, lined up wide here in the slot. He just can't, 5 yard and out, and then he's dragging that defender for 4 more yards, right? He is just tough to stop. Look at that handoff in the backfield. He's just hard to tackle. Here he's lined up a little bit more split. Again, 5 yard and out. He's hard to tackle, drags a guy with him. So he is impressive. He is going to be really, really good in this offense. I like what he's doing. I like what Norvell's doing on the trail. I think it is going to be pretty special to watch in 2024. So looks like Evan Ingram back in the day at Ole Miss. I don't mind that comp at all. I think that's pretty good. Yeah. Super talented kid. Florida State picks up another 5-star. And it's getting a little nostalgic around here. You remember this. You remember when I tweeted this morning because we obviously knew what was going to happen. But I think it's impressive what's happened here. And you remember when Jimbo flipped DeMarcus from Alabama? You guys remember that? Remember what happened as soon as that happened? What happened that next year? Florida State wins a title 1 year to the day that DeMarcus flipped. Now, I'm not saying that Florida State goes out and wins a title, but I do think that what they're doing is really, really special. And I think that they're setting themselves up. See, I think Florida State was solidly in that top 7 to 10 range. I think Florida State could have competed with anybody in that 4 to 10 range is really where they were last year. But if you want to get up into that top 3, if you want to compete with the Ohio States and the Michigans and the Georgias, Alabama on a normal year, you have to get more guys like this. You have to get more guys that the absolute beasts and dogs of the college football world want. And that's what Mike Norvell went out and did. And so shout out to Coach Norvell. Shout out to Coach Atkins. Coach Thompson obviously got a lot of heat at one point. People not thrilled with how recruiting was going at the tight end position. He has certainly done a great job in the portal. And now here in this recruiting class, this 2024 class, pulling in Landon Thomas, 5-star. Out of Georgia, only about 45 minutes is Moultrie from Tallahassee. Very close. So it's exciting to see. What do you guys got? I keep saying we'll spend like a couple more minutes and we'll go, but you guys are keeping it going, so I don't mind chatting just a little bit. But what questions do you have? What super chats do you want answered? Did we do all 3 ads? Let me give a shout out to Guthrie's real quick. I don't even have an ad thing for them, but I was at Guthrie's this weekend picking up chicken, obviously, for the tailgate because that just never gets old. And I don't know if I'm allowed to tell this or not, but there's only 200 people in here, so I guess it's not that big of a deal. You guys won't tell anybody, I'm sure. Mike Guthrie's guy said their sales are way up since Canes came in town. So don't come at the king, right? They say don't miss. Canes better watch it. Guthrie's got some big stuff coming. So shout out Guthrie's. If you're in Tallahassee, go get you a gut box to celebrate. QB in 2024 learns his offense quickly. Yeah, I feel good about QB. I think with the talent that you're going to have around them, there will certainly be some 2024 growing pains with whoever the quarterback is. I think it'll be good to not open up that 2024 season with LSU. I think you open up with Boston College is your first game in 2024. Oh, no, 24, you're going to play Georgia Tech, and then you play Boston College right after that. So you're going to start out 2-0. You're going to have some time to run and learn. With the talent that you're going to have on that 2024 team, I'm not super, super concerned with it. I think we'll be in a really, really good spot. Jaheim Bell did play in the spring game. Yes, he did. He caught a nice pass on the sideline from, I think it was from Jordan, but I was in an altered state, I'll say, at the spring game. So it's tough to know. What's the tight end position concerns? I don't know. Probably, almost said that way too flippantly. I don't have a ton of concerns with the tight end position right now. I think that, Morlock's going to take a little bit of time. I spent some time with his family this weekend. Shout out my guy Jake Norris for bringing them by the tailgate. I really like what Kyle Morlock has done. I think that he's going to be really, really good for the Noles. I think he'll be good this year. I think he'll be great next year. And so I really like him. I like Jaheim Bell. I think he's kind of a Swiss Army knife and can kind of play everywhere. I know that I'm stealing that phrase from not only folks at South Carolina, but everybody that's talked about him. But he truly can line up absolutely anywhere. He's a freak athlete-looking kid. And then I really like Biscuit, and I like a lot of what we've got at tight end. And I wouldn't be surprised to see somebody leave that room just because of how much there is. And I don't know if we're going to go 5 deep at the tight end position, but I don't think there are really any concerns there. Kylan Fox, I don't know. I think if Fox wanted in, you would take 2 tight ends. I don't know that Florida State's trending the right way there. Not for any bad reasons or anything. I just don't know that that's a recruitment that that they're in as much as others are. I think it's possible. I think that pulling 2 tight ends out of Georgia would be pretty ridiculous. But, yeah, I think you could. What did he just announced his top 6 like a week ago or something? Or top 5? What did they say? Where was he this weekend? Oh, his official visit is 6/16. So I think what's going to be interesting is to see what Georgia does there, what Miami does there, and how hard Miami goes in. Yeah, I mean, Florida State would certainly take him, and we probably lead there. But how does this impact it? How does him not being the number 1 guy impact it in his mind? Maybe not at all. Maybe maybe he's all about it. So I don't know. I don't have a real good vibe there. I know Miami folks are pretty confident that they can get him. So we'll see if that's just kind of a bag situation or what's going on. But I know that Miami really, really likes him, and we'll see kind of where things are leading. Okay, cool. I don't have much else. Let me look at the comments real quick and see if anybody else put anything. Who do you think you want to see at safety and something we really look for in the portal? I think you have the impact like Taylor did this year, though. Let's see. Fintrell Cypress, any good? Yeah, I do think Fintrell is going to be really good. I think he'll be your cornerback 1 in the season. Good question here on safety. Yeah, I mean, I think it's going to be Shaheem and Akeem Dent back there, and I think you'll see other guys kind of get in and mix it up. Duke Cooper played in the spring game, so yeah, I think you'll have a lot going back there. So I actually do have some people always want to ask about Travis J. I had some Travis J news that I'll drop in the Patreon Discord today. So if you're not a member, you don't have to be a member, but you're more than welcome to join the exclusive chat, and you get a little bit of access to inside info. All of that's down in the description. If you're watching this live, do us a big favor. It helps a ton if you just hit that thumbs up button. Also, I've tried not to bug you guys for subscribers on every single video that we do, but if you're not subscribed and you're one of the 175 or 200 people watching this, do me a favor and hit that subscribe button. It does help tremendously for us to know which videos you enjoyed more. So I assume 5-star commits are good videos to ask for that on. So appreciate you guys for your support. Again, Florida State picks up Landon Thomas, 5-star tight end out of Georgia, flips him from UGA, and the Mike Norvell cannot recruit rumors and narratives are dying by the minute. Thank you guys for hanging out. We'll talk to y'all soon. Hopefully you're drinking something better than this Diet Dr. Pepper that I've got, but good luck to you, and go Noles.